Lungu. We remember his leadership and contributions to our nation. May his legacy inspire us. Our thoughts and prayers are with his loved ones during this difficult time. May he rest in peace.
Win namamuli 1 million na ABSA. Play your cards right, Muntu Andi, and you could win big. Simply tap or swipe any of your ABSA cards 5 times in a month, and you could be one of 10 lucky winners to take home a cheap 10-pin in monthly prizes or walk away with a grand prize of 250,000 kwacha. Chaliroku, and you cannot afford to not get lucky. Use your ABSA card to enter the draw. Terms and conditions apply. Your story matters. ABSA.
For in-depth news coverage from across Zambia, local and national news, business, politics, and sports, this is the Sun FM News, brought to you by ABSA. Your story matters.
The news.
Hello and welcome to Sun FM Radio and TV News. The headlines. The Action Institution for Policy Analysis and Center, IPAC, is calling on government to defer the presentation of Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 to a future sitting of Parliament to allow for broader stakeholder engagement and the incorporation of diverse perspectives into the bill. The unresolved funeral arrangements for former head of state have sparked nationwide concern, with the Council of Churches in Zambia (CCZ) describing the prolonged delay as a disruption to the country's healing process. A traditional leader in Kawamba district has called on the family of the late 60th President Edgar Lungu to urgently engage government and seek a peaceful resolution that will allow for the repatriation of the body to Zambia. Zambia has recorded its first medal at the ongoing African Military Boxing Championship in Morocco after Private Nene Mahonga of the Zambia Army won a silver medal in the light flyweight category. Join me for the details shortly.
The news, 88.5 Sun FM.
With the details, my name is Kaela Brista. The Action Institute for Policy Analysis and Center, IPAC, is calling on government to defer the presentation of Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 to a future sitting of Parliament to allow for broader stakeholder engagement and the incorporation of diverse perspectives into the bill. Executive Director Solomon Ngoma said inclusivity and transparency are vital, especially as the proposed amendments directly affect key institutions such as political parties, the judiciary, civil society organizations, and electoral actors. Mr. Ngoma said, regrettably, the current process lacks adequate engagement with the critical players who represent an informed and objective segment of society capable of critically examining the bill's content and implications. He added that restricting stakeholder contributions to written submissions before a parliamentary committee of a few members of parliament risks compromising the legitimacy and effectiveness of the proposed reforms. IPAC therefore calls on government to extend the timeline for consultations and defer the bill's presentation to a future parliamentary session. He also urged members of parliament through their chief whips to proactively engage with civil society and professional bodies to ensure an informed and representative debate when the bill is eventually tabled. Furthermore, once comprehensive feedback has been gathered, the bill should be revised and re-gazetted to reflect these inputs. The updated bill can then be introduced in the next session of Parliament for robust and inclusive deliberation. 3 church mother bodies have revealed that they played a key role in facilitating dialogue between the late former President Edgar Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema, even at a time when such engagement seemed impossible. Council of Churches in Zambia CCZ General Secretary Bishop Emmanuel Chikoya disclosed that the church deliberately initiated private dialogue efforts to create a space for the two leaders to speak and engage with each other. As the nation remains in mourning, CCZ is calling on both government and the Lungu family to urgently reach a respectful and unified agreement to restore national normalcy.
In the midst of a tense standoff between the family of late former President Edgar Lungu and the government over funeral arrangement, 3 church mother bodies have come forward revealing their behind-the-scenes role in fostering unity between Mr. Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema during his lifetime. Council of Churches in Zambia CCZ General Secretary Bishop Emmanuel Chikoya disclosed that the church took deliberate steps to initiate private dialogue between the two leaders at a time when such engagement seemed impossible.
Both the sitting president and the former president to speak and engage with each other. It's unfortunate that some of the communication ended up in the public space. It was meant to be private, and it would be good to note and remind you that when it felt like it is impossible for the then president, who became former president, to meet with the opposition leader who is now president, the church managed to bring them together in a very private gathering.
He emphasized that the church remains a moral voice that should not be underrated or underestimated, particularly in moments of national division.
We don't get discouraged. There will be setbacks here and there, but we will always remain hopeful. And that is why it's important before we go and to live in peace. Let me put it that way. So that when we die, then we shall rest in peace.
This liberation comes as the family of the former President Edgar Lungu accuses the government of sidelining them in critical decisions. The tension has stirred the public debate and raised concerns about national unity during a period of mourning. Bishop Chikoya has reassured the nation that despite setbacks, church leaders are not discouraged in their mission to promote peace and reconciliation.
Because all of us will go one day.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, ZCCB Secretary General Father Francis Mukoka added that the church does not dictate decisions but offers moral guidance and reflection to steer the country forward.
Pieces of advice, either to take them or to leave them.
On the National Day of Prayer, Fast and Repentance and Reconciliation, Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, EFZ, Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda stressed that the National Day of Prayer has contributed to reconciling and uniting Zambia.
unity is a process, and unity is a product of maturity, more than just a product of prayer.
Thomas Mwale reporting for Sun FM TV News in Lusaka.
A traditional leader in Kawamba district has called on the family of the late 60th President Edgar Lungu to urgently engage government and seek a peaceful resolution that will allow for the repatriation of the former head of state's body to Zambia. Speaking in a telephone interview with Konkola Radio News, Sub-Chief Commander of the Chishinga people under Senior Chief Mushota's chiefdom expressed sadness over what he described as the politicization of President Lungu's funeral. Sub-Chief Commander emphasized that the late Dr. Lungu deserves a dignified and respectful send-off on his home soil, free from complications or political wrangles. He urged the Lungu family to initiate dialogue with the current government and called on the authorities not to relent in their efforts to cooperate with the bereaved family. The traditional leader appealed to government to remain actively engaged and continue reaching out until the matter is amicably resolved. He stressed the importance of national unity and respect in times of mourning, adding that the former president should be laid to rest in Zambia, where the nation can properly honor his legacy.
Bonse na chitukalipa ebyo ken family yeka inga kalipwa Pantuliali the greatest figure. The position he had, he had the highest in Zambia, the highest position. Hence, kufamily equally, na kuchalo equally. So let us all, as a government, quickly punch no kumona. Where have we gone wrong? So that we reach the consensus. Ya kuchilo mubili uwele. Nale unfa interview ya bakabimba. Yajama shuiba kabimba balelanda yali ayatunturu sana ngachakutila any politician they are doing it right now would have not have this conflict.
Meanwhile, civil rights activist Laura Miti has urged the government to lift the ongoing national mourning period for the late former President Edgar Lungu, citing the family's decision to suspend the repatriation and burial process. Ms. Miti argued that continuing with national mourning in the absence of a finalized funeral plan is premature. She advised that a day of mourning should only be declared once consensus is reached between the government and the Lungu family. Her comments follow allegations from the Lungu family accusing government of violating prior funeral arrangements, resulting in a standoff over the former president's final rites. Meanwhile, youth advocate Daniel Nkoma has dismissed suggestions that the late president be buried in South Africa, calling the proposal unfortunate and inappropriate.
The national mourning period for late former President Edgar Lungu has come under growing public scrutiny as calls intensify for government to reconsider its continuation amid uncertainty over his final resting place. Civil rights activist Laura Miti has urged government to immediately lift the mourning period, arguing that with the Lungu family halting repatriation and burial plans due to alleged breaches of agreement, national mourning cannot proceed in good faith.
The national mourning, it seems that the government might have to lift it because we cannot have indefinite national mourning, and also it affects people's lives. People have weddings, people have events.
She maintains that a day of mourning should only be declared once consensus is fully restored between the two parties. Youth advocate Daniel Nkoma has echoed similar sentiments, strongly opposing suggestions to bury the former president in South Africa.
The family that if they think burning the 60th president at the embassy, they're doing the government's favor or the sitting president a favor. That's a lie. It is on their favor. Because if they bury him there, 10 to 15 years from...
He described such proposals as deeply unfortunate and disrespectful to the legacy of a man who once led the nation.
Lungu's memory won't be as powerful as it will be when he's buried at the embassy there.
As emotions rise and questions grow, pressure is mounting on President Hakainde Hichilema's administration to restore the standoff and ensure that the nation mourns with unity, dignity and quality.
It is our hope that someday his remains will be repatriated back home and buried. I thank you.
Thomas Mwale, reporting for Sun FM TV News in Lusaka.
The church in Livingstone has called for urgent and unified action to combat the alarming rise in defilement cases, warning that the trend signals a deeper moral and spiritual breakdown in society. Bishop Dr. Creva Nyambe of the World Encounter Global Bible Ministry expressed concern over the rampant abuse of children, especially at the hands of trusted individuals. He emphasized that the situation demands immediate and coordinated intervention. In an interview, Bishop Nyambe described it as particularly distressing when such crimes are perpetrated by close family members, including fathers defiling their own daughters, an act he condemned as both criminal and contrary to biblical teachings. He attributed the rise in such cases to the erosion of fundamental values within families and communities, adding that religious institutions must no longer remain silent or indifferent to the growing crisis. Bishop Nyambe urged churches to take an active role in safeguarding children and restoring moral integrity, stressing that silence and inaction only serve to perpetuate the problem.
Defilement cases continue to rise in various parts of the country, and in the last 6 months alone, Southern Province has recorded more than 10 such incidents. Zambia's Children's Code Act is clear. Any sexual act involving a child under the age of 18 is classified as defilement, a grave crime, punishable by life imprisonment. Yet, many believe enforcement remains weak, leaving countless victims without justice and offenders walking free. This growing concern has sparked fresh calls from some members of the public, urging the government to consider reintroducing the death penalty for convicted child defilers. They argue that only harsher punishment will deter offenders and help curb the disturbing rise in child sexual abuse.
I think the government should bring back the death penalty for such people that are doing that to their girl child. Or even boys. I know even boys go through such. But that thing, it leaves a really big impact to children. Children are supposed to be in school, not being out there being devoured by older men. Fathers, you'd find that a father and a daughter doing such a kind of a thing. That's where now most of the children, when they grow up with anger issues. They do not want anything to do with a man.
So most of the time, agambo nkara na impact yaso zankara mu mindset zakulira mu chabu azakulira mu kona munga ndiye life iri so chesta impact maningi babaro
bamujata ledo tibamwanyi noti kumulekera agambo bamba ma parents mbamba obatiyana so kumende edo
but for others, the problem runs deeper than just legal penalties. Bishop Dr. Creva Nyambe of the World Encounter Global Bible Ministry says this is not merely a legal or policing issue, but a moral and spiritual crisis. He is calling on the church to take a stronger stand to promote values, offer counseling, and confront abuse within communities.
It's no longer about stiffer punishment. It's about this sin that seems to grow by the day. In other words, the approach that is one, teachings, prayer. These two aspects must be enhanced. The church must take a strong stance. That's my approach and my emphasis. To teach, do all they can. Secondly or thirdly, the government in its teachings in schools for children, they must do their best to put in their curriculum something to help children be aware if it's not there.
As the crisis deepens, so does the demand for united response from the church, from civil societies, and from government to protect the nation's children and ensure that justice is not only promised but truly delivered. Prudence Mutala reporting for Sun TV News, Livingstone, Southern Province.
The Private Security Companies Association has expressed concern over the sector's inability to improve salaries for security personnel due to the prolonged delay in the enactment of the Private Security Bill. In an interview, Association President Francis Mukoka stated that meaningful improvements in the remuneration of security officers can only be realized once the bill is passed into law. He emphasized that the continued lack of legal backing is stifling the industry's growth, adding urgency to the need for government action.
Who couldn't not mind how these security guards are surviving with the salary of 1,200, 2,000 kwacha. Hence, as Private Security Association, we thought we can help, and we can also try to help these security guards by starting regulating ourselves, because we are the people who knows on how we want to regulate the security company. We, the security companies, we are the ones who want also, who knows the welfare, who knows what kind of salary scale a guard can work with at home. So now, if someone is holding on the security bill, it's totally killing these security guards, also totally killing the security company in this country. Because the security companies, they are still struggling to get just a tender from this government institution or anywhere.
An energy expert has called on the government to invest in strategic fuel reserves to protect the country from external shocks such as the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran, which has already triggered a 4% increase in global oil prices. In an interview, Boniface Zulu warned that the escalating geopolitical tensions pose significant threats to global supply chains, with fuel import-dependent countries like Zambia particularly at risk. He noted that establishing sufficient reserves would help the country withstand the adverse effects of geopolitical instability, fluctuating exchange rates, and abrupt shifts in international oil markets. Highlighting the impact of global politics on petroleum pricing, Mr. Zulu explains that Zambia's cost-reflective fuel pricing model makes it especially vulnerable to such external disruptions. His comments come amid heightened concerns over potential supply chain disruptions as Iran, a key member of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC and the bloc's fourth largest crude oil producer, remains embroiled in a conflict with Israel. Here's a report.
Not that geopolitics a key role in the prices of petroleum products on the global market. And these have a ripple effect towards Zambia's local pump prices. Zambia has implemented cost-reflective tariffs, meaning any disruption on the global market will actually affect Zambia's local pump pricing mechanism.
The Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia, has called for greater inclusion of persons living with disabilities in the creation, production, and ownership of media content, particularly within the community radio sector. Speaking during the dissemination of a desk research report on disability inclusion in community radio, MISA Zambia National Director Austin Kayanda said the findings come at a critical time when there is growing advocacy for persons with disabilities to not only access media but also actively shape content that speaks to their realities. Mr. Kayanda noted that although Zambia has made strides in adopting international and national policies that that promote the rights of persons with disabilities, there remains a significant gap between policy and implementation, especially in community radio, which he said should reflect inclusion, diversity, and grassroots empowerment. Zambia. This is Sun FM Radio and TV News. We now take a break. After the break, sports news.
Imagine having the financial freedom to live life on your terms. With the ABSA Ultimate Plus account, you can manage your finances, save for the future, and access personal loans. Plus, enjoy travel insurance, a credit card, and retrenchment cover when the unexpected happens. If that's not value, I don't know what is. Let's help you write the next chapter of your ultimate story. Call 5950 to open an Ultimate Plus account today.
Your story matters. ABSA.
Welcome back. Sun FM News continues. Zambia has recorded its first medal at the ongoing African Military Boxing Championship in Morocco after Private Nene Mahonga of the Zambia Army won a silver medal in the light flyweight category. Private Mahonga lost to Morocco's Bensaya Issam in the final bout held this morning, earning Zambia a proud silver finish in the Continental Military Sports Competition. The Zambian boxer advanced to the final after registering impressive victories over opponents from Mozambique and Tanzania earlier in the tournament. In another bout, Staff Sergeant Patrick Kanyemba of the Zambian National Service overcame Tunisia's Omar Somrani to secure a spot in the final of the flyweight category. Staff Sergeant Chinyemba, who is a former IBA African flyweight champion, is set to fight in the final tomorrow as Zambia aims to increase its medal tally. Zambia is being represented by 6 boxers drawn from the Zambia Army, Zambia Air Force, and Zambia National Service. The coaching team includes Lieutenant Catherine Piri, a former WBC female bantamweight champion. Ministry of Defense Principal Public Relations Officer Paul Shalala confirmed the development, stating that the team's performance is a testament to the growing strength of military sports in Zambia. The African Military Boxing Championship is bringing together top military athletes from across the continent, fostering unity and competition through sport of boxing. In other sports news, Football Administrator Nkweto Tembwe has urged clubs aiming to reinforce their squads to take full advantage of the ongoing 2025 FAS National Division 1 playoffs as a prime scouting ground for emerging talent. Tembwe noted that talent identification is often an expensive undertaking involving extensive travel and accommodation costs that stretch club budgets. He believes the playoffs offer a unique opportunity, bringing together a wide pool of promising players in one location for Super League teams to scout efficiently and cost effectively.
We are having the National Division 1 playoffs, okay? And I'm asking clubs, especially the bigger ones, okay? The senior ones, so to speak, those in Premier League. Let's find time to pass through these venues where this raw talent is being displayed, you know? Let's go there and find these players whom we can easily negotiate for, bring them into onto our books, and then start creating them into big players that we want.
He encouraged coaches, technical directors, and club executives to approach the playoffs as a strategic scouting hub, stressing that many future stars emerge from lower-tier competitions and simply need the right exposure to flourish. In a board challenge, Tembwe also called on ZPL Super League teams to set their sights higher by aiming to secure a continental title. He expressed optimism that one day Zambia will see representation at the FIFA Club World Cup.
My challenge is to all Zambian football teams, especially those that are in the Premier League. I think let's work hard and always focus on beyond winning the league. For now, we hope and trust Power Dynamos, Zesco United will do better. Remember, when teams start doing better at continental level, you end up with more teams at continental level from Zambia. At one time we had 4, now we have 2. So these 2 teams, Power and Zesco, have a big opportunity to push Zambian football forward.
To end the news, a recap of the headlines. The Action Institute for Policy Analysis and Center IPAC is calling on government to defer the presentation of a Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 to a future sitting of Parliament to allow for broader stakeholder engagement and the incorporation of diverse perspectives into the bill. The unresolved funeral arrangements for former head of state have sparked nationwide concern, with the Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ, describing the prolonged delay as a disruption to the country's healing process. A traditional leader in Kawambwa district has called on the family of the late 6th President Edgar Lungu to urgently engage government and seek a peaceful resolution that will allow for the repatriation of the body to Zambia. In sports, Zambia has recorded its first medal at the ongoing African Military Boxing Championship in Morocco after Private Nene Mahonga of the Zambia Army won a silver medal in the light flyweight category. And that is the end of the news. On behalf of the entire Sun FM News and Current Affairs Department, my name is Kyla Brista. Have a lovely day.
Sun FM.
A comprehensive coverage of local and national news, business, politics, and sports. The Sun FM News was brought to you by